Hey bestie, it's B. Welcome back. We got another hot one for you, okay? Today, as you saw in the title, we're talking about what you have to let go of to let in the new. If you've ever thought, hey, I love Bestie B's content and you'd like to support, you can come follow me on Instagram and TikTok at heybriajones. And I now have memberships. If you want to go deeper on some of the topics we talk about, get discounted or free guides, check out the link in my description and you can sign up for memberships. And last but not least, you can leave a comment, a like, or share. All free ways you can support my channel and I really appreciate it. So here's the thing, everything is energy. So if that's true, when we're seeking change or looking to bring something new in, it also helps to look at it on an energetic level. So what do I mean by that? To put it simply, sometimes you have to release something energetically in order to receive something. Sometimes it can look like physically letting go of something in order to energetically receive, or it could be physically letting go of something to physically receive. Because whether it's energy or physical, it's still all energy. Do you see what I'm saying? Example, if you had a tall glass of milk and you were like, man, I heard about this apple juice stuff and I could really see myself liking it. I hear it's super sweet and delicious. And you're like, I would like a glass of apple juice, but you only get 1 cup. How are we gonna get you that apple juice? You know what I'm saying? You got a full cup of milk. What are you gonna do with that? The thing is, you would have to be ready to get rid of the glass of milk. But there's always some kind of drama that probably comes with getting rid of the milk. It's not as easy as we think. And think about, what is your milk? I mean, obviously this is an analogy, but what are you holding on to that you don't want to get rid of? In our example of the milk case, some people might be like, well, you know, I've never had apple juice, so I'm gonna stick with this milk because what if it's too much? What if I don't like it? There's always the fear of the unknown holding us back from releasing sometimes. Another one could be that maybe you're like, I don't know when this apple juice is gonna get here, so let me hold on to this milk so I don't go thirsty. A lack of faith, a lack of trusting the process, a lack of trusting yourself and not being able to take the risk and know that you will be rewarded for your efforts. There's so many reasons why we cling on to the old. But the thing with that is that you're clogging up your energetic bank. You gotta let go to receive. Oftentimes, your love for comfort is what's standing in your way of getting what you want. Sometimes we don't even realize that we're doing this, but you know, in other videos, we've talked about how you can't get new things with the same old crusty, dusty habits. So it kind of plays into that same concept where maybe there are behaviors you have to let go of. Maybe there are certain things you have to stop doing, but maybe there's also things you have to stop holding on to. And it can look a lot of different ways. So I'll give you a little example of my own here. I am turning 30. By the time you see this video, my birthday will probably already pass, but I'm turning 30 this week, okay? And I kind of went through like this weird, I don't even know what you want to call it. It wasn't like, maybe I was freaking out a little bit, but I just felt like I didn't have an identity when it came to my appearance. And I feel like I've really struggled with trying to have some kind of like style for myself since the pandemic, because the pandemic just left me wanting to be super comfortable. So for the past few years, I've gotten really used to just wearing sweatpants, loose fitting clothes, all the things, and it's not really reflective of how I feel on the inside. So I've had this urge to really just revamp myself and revamp my look. But the other day it dawned on me that I literally have, like literally on a physical level, have no space to reinvent my looks. Like in my mind, I can want to reinvent my look, but I literally, if you look at my closet, it is full of hoodies, sweatpants, sweaters, and I have trouble just like parting with those things. I've actually tried a couple of times to get rid of things, and every time I do this process, I'm like, holding up a piece of something I haven't worn in months, like, but what if I get invited to this very specific event? I'm gonna need this. And I go through this with every single piece of clothing, and ultimately I am creating excuses. The rule really should be, if I haven't touched it in 3 months, no, and I say 3 because seasonally things change, but if I haven't touched it in a few months, I probably haven't even thought about it and forgot about it. So I'm sitting here holding on to things for whatever reasons. Maybe it's because deep down, I know that I'm not ready for this 30-year-old version of me. Like, it's kind of scary to think, who is this girl gonna be? I know what I want, but I'm not really sure if I wanna make those changes yet. So I'm sitting here creating excuses for myself while I'm cleaning out my closet. It was horrendous. But finally, like a few weeks ago, I just got this wild wind of energy and I was like, I have to let go of these things. Like I'm ready to go shopping. I'm ready to find things that reflect who I want to be. I want to add some color. I want to add some pattern. Like I want to try some things on a fashion level that I've never done before. But I literally have to let go of some of the things that are clogging up my closet right now because I have hoodies and sweats for days. What made this really difficult too was that last year I had a lot of body image issues. A little side thing that I didn't realize I was gonna go through, but sometimes social media, especially if it's your job, it will blindside you and you kind of get fixated on how you look at every angle. So for me, this was like a really big part of why baggy clothes were my safe haven and loose fitted clothes were like where I found comfort. But that wasn't gonna be productive to changing my appearance. And part of it is that I don't feel like the girl anymore who's afraid to be seen. Last year, definitely was afraid to be seen, afraid to be judged. But what I've accepted now is that I accept me. At almost 30 years old, I finally accept myself and love myself at any size. And I've been able to stop hiding myself with clothes. So it's been really nice to finally have the courage to part with all of those hoodies and sweats and donate them to a greater cause and make room for the closet that I picture myself having in my 30s. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been wearing like jeans more. I've been wearing like tops that aren't baggy t-shirts. Now, don't get me wrong, like I'll pop in with a hoodie here and there, but I'm really trying to make an effort to change that look. So what I'm saying is the process of purging my closet was really important to this process. It wasn't easy by any means, and I felt like I was also letting go of a part of myself that went through a really rough time. I think some of those clothes held this heavy energy with it because those clothes were used to hide me. I was ashamed of my body because it was changing in ways that I was uncomfortable with. I had issues with eating. One day I'll go into detail on all of this, but there was a lot going on behind the scenes that I was trying to hide from myself and from you. So those clothes had a really big impact. And when I finally got rid of them, it was almost like cutting the cord with the girl who had those issues. I've done a lot of work to get there and it felt very freeing to free up that space. But while it was a physical act of getting rid of articles of clothing, it was also a very energetic release. And I can promise you it was, because the way that I felt afterwards was so light and relieved. When I had the bags of clothes, I had probably like 5 bags of clothes. I couldn't even look at them. I was like, we have to get them out. It was like such an urgency to like go ahead and do something with it and don't let it stay in here. And I feel like that lifted this entire apartment, like truly. Clutter and things that we just hoard and hold on to, even in our space, it's all energy. What's kind of crazy about once I let go of these clothes, I actually started to get more inquiries from brands to send me clothes. And I always think it's funny because I'll do it even with like makeup and stuff. I get a lot of free makeup from brands who want me to try stuff. It piles up so quickly and I only have one face. So that's why I like to do giveaways and stuff. But holding on to all this clutter, and it literally clogs up my mind. That's how I feel sometimes. But when I let go of those clothes, I started getting inquiries like, hey, we want to send you these pieces. And what's even crazier is the pieces they wanted to send me were like on my Pinterest board of the pieces I want to wear in my 30s. So it's just funny how once you move stuff out of the way, you can actually receive. Change is uncomfortable, but change and the discomfort is temporary. And I think what we oftentimes forget is that it's a little bit of a sacrifice for a greater reward. You're not going to be in this feeling of feeling uncomfortable forever. When you create a new norm, it's supposed to kind of hurt and be painful because your brain is literally wired to love a routine, to love comfort, to love the same expected thing, right? Our brains love that because there's already a pathway in our brain that knows this, if I do this, I get this. But when we make a change, whether it's in our life, in the way we think, or the way that we act, you are literally creating a new neuro pathway. That's why change is so hard. So be nice to yourself because change isn't supposed to be easy. But the more that you choose to show up to yourself in the discomfort, the easier easier it's going to get. So going back to my closet example, it was really hard for me to even picture myself getting dressed, especially because I work from home. I don't feel motivated to actually put myself together because I don't see real people outside of my husband and my dog. He is real. So it's really hard for me to find the will to want to dress up because it's like, for what? But it needs to be for me. It doesn't have to be for anybody else. But the idea at one point was very overwhelming. And I made the mistake in the beginning of trying to go from sweatpants and PJs to curated fashion girly. I needed to take a smaller step, okay? And the smaller step for me was just getting out of my pajamas at one point. And after I started being consistent with that, it felt really good and really normal. So now when I get up, I expect to get dressed and get ready for the day. Whereas before, at this time last year, like, bestie, I'm not even kidding you, I was in my pajamas still at this time, and the only time I would put on those sweats was for a video, and I'm just putting on sweats, okay? No shade if you're a sweats girly, but for me, it was kind of like the catalyst to having other areas of my life suffer. Because I wasn't getting dressed, I didn't feel good about myself, I didn't see this like pretty girl in the mirror just because all I needed to do was brush my teeth and my hair. But sometimes we forget, like, we actually bad as fuck because we're sitting here just like not taking care of ourselves. But getting dressed was a big piece of me taking care of myself. Now for you, that might be different, but for me, it was important. So I took the small steps to make myself comfortable with starting to reinvent myself in my look. I'm still not fully there, but I will tell you that every day now, I can at least get myself together on some level, even if it's not a pair of jeans, okay? But I will say I'm wearing real pants more than I used to. So I'm still just working towards that, and eventually I want to be able to just throw together a really cute outfit every day and it feel normal. But I don't want to overwhelm myself by just diving into that. You don't have to do that. Be nice to yourself and understand that these changes take time and literally take time to create a new way of thinking in your brain. So me making those changes and trying to make room for this 30-year-old version of myself who I see as totally different and just confident and full of amazing fun outfits, I have to make room for her. I have to make room for her in my closet, in my life. I have to start showing up as her, but it's gonna take some time. You have to create space for the things that you want, and sometimes that means departing with the things that you love and have an attachment to. So I have someone that I know who is a borderline hoarder, okay? This person, and we probably all know someone like this, but if it's free, it's for them. You know the saying, if it's free, it's for me. That is not my truth because I don't like clutter. I don't want it just because it's free. And I also think, to be fair, and part of that is because being an influencer, I get a lot of free things and I'm very grateful for that. But I also know I can't even use all that stuff. So I don't like being wasteful. I don't want to take in something that I'm not going to use. So I have this person who I know that is the complete opposite of that. Anything that they can get their hands on, they grab. So for a while, when I would do my clean outs, I would give this person my clothes and you know, beauty products. I would give this person my stuff. And every time I would visit, I would see it in the corner piled up, just collecting dust. So for me, I would be a little frustrated because I was like, well, I could have given that to someone who really needs it. But this person's mindset of just gotta have it because it's free is literally energetically clogging up their home. Just stuff everywhere. And I'm not shit talking. I've said this to this person, so don't worry. I think this person feels overwhelmed a lot because they always feel like nothing is clean enough, nothing is put together enough. And then I look around and I'm like, well, you're holding on to a lot of things that you probably don't need. So going back to this mindset of like, I just need to have it because like I can get my hands on it, that will quickly clog you up and block you from your blessings. So this is another point I wanted to make with creating space. Sometimes is a mindset shift, especially around abundance. You know, abundance mindset is something we talk about a lot here, but going back to the roots of why that's so important, if you feel like you have to have any and everything that crosses your path, you have a limited and lack mindset. If you knew that you had $1 million on the way and someone said, hey, can I give you this $10? You probably might take it because, hey, it's $10, but also you might think a little more about how that $10 doesn't need to go to you. Maybe it could go to someone else because you know there's more coming your way, you don't need to jump at $10. Okay, I'm not shading $10, but what I'm saying is if you knew that more was on the way, you probably wouldn't grab for all the small opportunities. And I've had to reshape my mind frame, especially when it comes to work, where, you know, brands will offer me this amount of money when I know that I'm worth this amount of money. And I think, oh, maybe I should say yes because things are slow right now. And then you know what? I am going back to my lack mindset. So it's hard for me too, because it's something you have to continually exercise in your mind and believe that there's so much more coming for you. You just need to make sure you have room for it. So with this person, I was like, you are clogging up your home with all of these free things to the point where you can't even have room for something really nice if I was able to give it to you or if someone else wanted to bless you with it, right? There's literally no space. So my point is, make sure also when you're creating space for the things that you want, that you aren't blocking it with a limited lack mindset. Make sure that you continue to believe in abundance and that the best possible case scenario is on the way for you. Just make sure that you're not accepting things out of fear. Like, oh, I better take this because I don't know when da-da-da-da's coming. When you know your worth at the end of the day, it will literally train you to be ready to receive more. Because if you don't think you're worth receiving more, you will continue getting the little baby offers. And like I said, guys, I see this so much in my job and I have to like really fight it because it's hard sometimes. But keep in mind that there is so much for you. There's so much for everyone around you. You've got to reframe your mind first. So playing into my job a little bit more, how this whole idea of creating space played out for me this year. Obviously this year was crazy for me in a lot of different ways, but at one point things really slowed down for me to an abnormal point where I just wasn't used to like how things were slowing down on my business end. And it scared me, honestly. And I was like, what is it? Like, why am I not getting the deals I want to get? Like, what's in the way, right? And I knew that it was something with me. I knew it was something inside of me that I needed to figure out. And so it took a while, but yes, of course, there were things I needed to clear in my head, but there was also the point that I didn't create space for the money. And here's how I found out. So when I went to get my taxes done, I did not have my business set up properly at all, okay? So when you become self-employed, you have to get like incorporated at some point. I am an S Corp. And so my S Corp was not set up properly at all. It is now, but it wasn't. So it made everything really difficult. The bottom line was that everything was super unorganized and therefore things were getting missed. I was overspending in places. My tax accountant couldn't do their job properly because everything was just so messy. So it's not that we couldn't get things done. It was just that it was really difficult to do and it wasn't the most efficient way to be doing things to also make sure that it was like stable for my business. So we had to do a lot of work. And listen, this is where the discomfort comes in because I had to have a lot of phone calls around money, around topics I'd never discussed before, around things I just didn't understand because I'm like the first small business owner I know. I don't have any family members who have worked for themselves. So I'm literally having to make mistakes. And it's kind of hard and intimidating when you're talking to a CPA who's like 20 years tenured and using all these big words with you. I'm like, talk to me like I'm a kindergartner, please. So it's very intimidating and it caused me like a lot of anxiety and stress and doubt in myself. Like, look, I don't know if I can do this. But ultimately, I had to get confident in asking questions. I had to get confident in making the right decisions and connecting with the right people. And sure enough, we started to get my business in order. I had to open up new bank accounts. I had to get new credit cards. I had to hire new people to help me. What I had to do was basically take myself to the next level if I wanted to receive next level money. Initially, we did not have the space created to receive more money. So I believe that the reason things slowed down for me is because a divine sign was trying to get my attention and say, you need to get things organized so that you can be ready to receive what you need. So once we got the business in order, we got the accounts organized and all of our things lined up, everything started to flow a lot easier. More brand opportunities, just more streams of income in different ways. Like things just started to happen immediately once I got organized. So if things feel messy and like they're not working and like you have to force them to work, take a step back to look at the picture and ask yourself, what could be going wrong here? Is there something that needs to be adjusted? Because it could be a blessing in disguise. Now that I look back on the situation, I am actually so thankful that we didn't receive more money at that time because it would have been very messy. We probably would have lost money because we weren't organized. And like I said, we were overspending. We probably would have missed a lot of things. So it's a huge blessing we were able to take a step back and get things in order and now we're ready to receive. So like bring on the money, honey, but you have to get ready for it. Like if I were to tell you, oh, we're sending you like $1 million tomorrow, are you ready? Why not? Get ready. Like what do you need to do to move things around? So whatever it is that you're trying to bring in that's new, or whatever it is that you have a desire for, ask yourself, if you were to get this thing tomorrow, are you ready for it? Because part of it is that if you got it and you're not ready for it, you're gonna lose it really fast. And you don't wanna do that. So make sure you're prepared. And that means showing up as if you already have it, because then the universe has to catch up with you. We're gonna do a whole video on acting as if, but that's a huge part of this whole thing too. So all in all, you have to make sure that you are creating space to receive. So think about the areas in your life where you might be clogging things up energetically, and just make a note of that and start to make the changes. I hope this video helped. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next week.